They warned about the dangerous native fauna. Human came back with 3 as pets. Part 1. The Warning. The conference room aboard the Galactic Trade Station hummed with the sounds of a dozen different species. Park Min-ho sat near the back, his worn field jacket looking out of place among the pristine uniforms of the other scientists. His fingers drummed against the table as Ambassador Thelvax moved to the center of the room, all 4 of his arms gesturing at the massive holographic display. Vex 7, the Quilarian diplomat announced, his voice carrying the weight of authority. A death world, category red zone. The hologram showed a planet covered in deep crimson jungles and black mountains. It looked beautiful from orbit. Minho leaned forward in his seat. He had seen plenty of dangerous worlds before, but something about this one called to him. Every species that has attempted surface exploration has lost team members, Thelvax continued. The native fauna is unlike anything we have encountered. They are fast, intelligent, and completely hostile to outsiders. Dr. Kira Sonnet, the human expedition lead, raised her hand. What about drone surveys? 17 drones lost in the first week. Another scientist answered from across the room. The creatures destroy anything that enters their territory. Thelvax pulled up images of 3 specific creatures. The room fell silent. Minho felt his heart beat faster as he studied each one. The first image showed a creature with massive wings that looked like blades. Its body was sleek and covered in dark scales that reflected light like metal. The razor-winged striker, Thelvax said. It hunts in packs of 20 or more. Their wings can cut through steel plating. They can fly at speeds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour. No one has survived a direct encounter. The second image made several aliens shift uncomfortably in their seats. It showed a massive creature that seemed to blur at the edges like smoke given solid form. The Void Crawler. It can phase through solid matter. It is an ambush predator. By the time you see it, you are already dead. The third creature looked almost gentle compared to the others until Thelvax played a video. The sound it produced shattered the recording equipment. The Thornback Screamer. Its sonic attacks can turn internal organs to liquid from 50 meters away. Adult specimens are 3 meters tall and extremely territorial. Minho watched every second of the footage. He saw how the razor wings moved together, coordinated like birds on Earth. He noticed how the Void Crawler tested its environment before attacking, curious and careful. He observed the Thornback Screamer protecting its nesting ground, not attacking randomly but defending its home. The Galactic Council has made its decision, Thelvax announced. Vex 7 will remain under observation from orbit only. No landing missions. No contact attempts. The risk is simply too great. Minho stood up. Every eye in the room turned to him. I volunteer for a reconnaissance mission, he said calmly. The room erupted. Dr. Sonnet turned to him with wide eyes. Minho, did you not hear anything that was just said? I heard everything, Minho replied. That is why I want to go. These creatures are not mindless killers. Did you see how the razor wings coordinated? That takes intelligence. Did you notice how the Void Crawler tested the ground before moving? That is problem-solving behavior. And the Thornback only attacked when something came near its nest. That is not hostility. That is protection. Thelvax's forearms crossed over his chest. Absolutely not. I cannot allow a human to throw away his life on romantic notions about predators. I am not asking permission to study them up close, Minho said, choosing his words carefully. I just want to observe from a safe distance. Set up remote cameras. Take soil samples. Basic reconnaissance. Dr. Sonnet looked torn. She knew Minho's reputation. He had worked with dangerous creatures on 6 different worlds. He had been bitten, clawed, and poisoned more times than anyone could count, but he had never lost his passion for understanding what others feared. If I approve this, she said slowly, you follow every protocol. You stay in armored gear. You do not approach any native fauna. You report in every 6 hours. At the first sign of trouble, you evacuate, Minho nodded, though he had no intention of staying away from the creatures if an opportunity presented itself. Thelvax stepped closer to him, lowering his voice so only Minho could hear. I have seen many species come and go in my years as ambassador. Humans are brave, sometimes too brave. Do not let your curiosity kill you, Park Minho. Some things are dangerous for a reason. I understand, Minho said, but his eyes were already back on the hologram, studying the crimson jungles of Vex 7. 3 days later, Minho stood in the landing bay, checking his equipment one final time. His shuttle was small but fast. It had enough supplies for 2 weeks. medical equipment for basic injuries, and enough scientific instruments to make any xenobiologist jealous. Dr. Sonnet approached him as he loaded the last container. "You do not have to do this," she said quietly. "No one will think less of you if you change your mind." Minho smiled at her. "I grew up on a farm on Earth. My family rescued animals that others had given up on. Dogs that bit people, horses that kicked, birds that attacked. Everyone said those animals were too dangerous to save. But we saved them anyway. Not by dominating them, not by breaking them, by understanding them. These are not farm animals," Dr. Sonnet reminded him. "No," Minho agreed, "but they are still alive. They still think and feel and survive in their world. I just want to understand how." Choi Hana, the station's best pilot, was running final checks on the shuttle. She looked up at Minho with a mixture of respect and concern. "I am supposed to extract you in 14 days, she said. "Please make sure you're alive when I get there." "I will do my best," Minho said with a grin. As the shuttle launched toward Vex 7, Minho watched the planet grow larger in the viewport. The crimson jungles seemed to pulse with life. Somewhere down there, creatures that the entire galaxy feared were living their lives, hunting and protecting their territories. He thought about Thelvax's warning, "Some things are dangerous for a reason." That was true. But Minho believed something else too. Sometimes things seemed dangerous only because no one had tried to understand them yet. The shuttle entered the atmosphere, and Minho felt the familiar rush of excitement that came with every new world. Whatever happened next, he was ready, or at least he hoped he was. They warned about the dangerous native fauna. Human came back with 3 as pets part 2. First contact, the jungle was louder than Minho had expected. Every rustle of leaves, every crack of a branch, every distant roar reminded him that he was not alone. He had set up his camp in a shallow cave on the 3rd day, away from the main hunting grounds he had observed from above. The cave was perfect. It had a narrow entrance that he could defend, a clean water source trickling down one wall, and enough space for his equipment. He spent the first few days documenting everything he saw from a safe distance. Birds with teeth, plants that moved to catch insects, small rodent-like creatures that traveled in groups and used tools to crack open nuts. Everything on Vex 7 was built to survive. Everything was a predator, or had learned to avoid predators. It was a harsh world, but it was also beautiful. On the evening of his 5th day, Minho heard something different. It was not the usual sounds of the jungle. It was a high-pitched cry, almost like a bird in distress. He grabbed his scanner and followed the sound carefully. In a clearing about 200 meters from his cave, he found the source of the noise. A young razor-wing striker was tangled in thick, glowing vines. The bioluminescent plants had wrapped around its wings and body, holding it tight against a tree trunk. The creature thrashed and cried out, but every movement only made the vines tighten. Minho crouched behind a large rock and observed. The razor-wing was young, maybe a juvenile. Its scales were not fully developed, and its wing blades were smaller than the adults he had seen in the briefing videos. It was thin too, clearly malnourished. He checked his scanner. There were no other razor wings nearby. This one had been abandoned by its pack, probably because it could not keep up. In nature, the weak were often left behind. It was cruel, but it was how species survived. Minho should have left. Every protocol said to observe and document nothing more. But as he watched the creature struggle, exhausted and alone, something in him refused to walk away. "Stupid," he muttered to himself as he stood up and approached the clearing. "This is incredibly stupid." The razor-wing noticed him immediately. Its eyes locked onto his and it hissed, showing rows of sharp teeth. Its wing blades flexed, trying to break free of the vines to attack him. Minho stopped at the edge of the clearing and held up his empty hands. "Easy," he said softly. "I am not here to hurt you." The creature did not understand his words, but it understood his tone. It stopped thrashing for a moment, watching him carefully. Minho took one step forward. The razor-wing hissed again, but it was weaker this time. It was running out of energy. Another step. Another. Minho kept his movement slow and predictable. He kept talking in that same soft voice. the way he used to talk to frightened horses back home on Earth. When he was close enough to touch the vines, the razorwing made one last desperate attempt to free itself. Its wing blade slashed out, cutting through the vines and catching Minho's arm. Pain shot through him as blood soaked his sleeve. Minho did not pull back. He did not cry out. He just stood there, keeping his eyes on the creature. "I know," he said quietly. "You are scared, I understand." The razorwing stared at him, confused. Its prey usually ran when hurt, but this strange two-legged creature just stood there, bleeding, not running. Minho pulled a small knife from his belt. The razorwing tensed, ready to fight to its last breath. But instead of attacking, Minho began cutting the vines. One by one, he freed the creature's wings, then its legs, then its body. The razorwing could have killed him at any moment. Its blade wings were still sharp enough to cut through his protective gear, but it did not attack. It just watched, its breathing heavy and uncertain. When the last vine fell away, the creature stumbled forward and collapsed. It tried to stand but could not. Weeks of starvation and days trapped in the vines had drained all its strength. Minho sat down on the ground nearby, keeping a respectful distance. He pulled out one of his protein bars and broke off a piece. It was not real meat, just processed nutrients, but it was all he had. He tossed the piece toward the razorwing. It landed a few centimeters from its head. The creature sniffed it suspiciously. Then, driven by hunger, it ate. When it finished, it looked at Minho with those sharp, intelligent eyes. Minho tossed another piece. This one landed a bit closer to himself. The razorwing hesitated, then crawled forward and ate it. They continued like this until the razorwing was close enough for Minho to see the individual scales on its face. It was breathing easier now, some strength returning with the food in its belly. "I am going to call you Cal," Minho said. The word meant blade in Korean. It seemed fitting. Cal tilted its head, studying this strange creature that had saved it. Minho stood slowly, not making any sudden movements. "My camp is not far from here. You can follow me if you want. Or you can go back to the jungle, your choice." He walked back toward his cave, leaving Cal in the clearing. He did not look back. He wanted the creature to make its own decision. That night, Minho cleaned and bandaged his arm. The cut was deep but not dangerous. He had experienced worse. He was preparing his evening meal when he heard movement at the cave entrance. Cal stood there, silhouetted against the purple sky of Vex 7. The creature made a soft clicking sound, almost questioning. Minho smiled and held up another protein bar. "Come on then, but there are rules. No attacking me, no attacking my equipment, and you sleep on that side of the cave." Cal entered slowly, every sense alert for danger. But when Minho tossed it, the food, and went back to his own meal, the creature relaxed. It ate, drank from the small stream, and then curled up in the corner Minho had indicated. Over the next 3 days, something remarkable happened. Cal began to trust him. The creature would follow him during the day, staying close, but not crowding. It watched everything Minho did with intense curiosity. Minho discovered that Cal was incredibly smart. When he showed it how to open a supply container, Cal learned after watching just twice. When Minho set up a simple puzzle box with food inside, Cal solved it in under a minute. These creatures were not mindless killing machines. They were intelligent social animals. Cal had been abandoned because it could not keep up with the pack, but that did not mean it was stupid or dangerous. It just needed someone to give it a chance. On the 7th day, Minho sent an encrypted message back to the station. He kept it vague, not wanting to alarm Dr. Sonnet, but he hinted at his discovery. These creatures could learn, they could trust, they could bond. That night, as Minho lay, in his sleeping bag with Cal resting near the cave entrance, he smiled. The galaxy had labeled these creatures as too dangerous to approach. But right now, listening to Cal's soft breathing, Minho felt safer than he had in years. Tomorrow, he would continue documenting the jungle. He would prove that understanding was better than fear. But for tonight, he just enjoyed the quiet company of a friend he should never have made. They warned about the dangerous native fauna. Human came back with 3 as pets part 3. The pack grows. By the beginning of the second week, Cal had become Minho's shadow. The Razorwing followed him everywhere, sometimes flying ahead to scout, sometimes walking beside him through the jungle. They had developed a simple communication system. Cal would click once for danger, twice for something interesting, and 3 times when it was hungry. Minho was documenting a field of crystalline flowers when Cal suddenly clicked once and positioned itself between Minho and the eastern tree line. Something was wrong. "What is it?" Minho asked quietly, trusting the creature's sharper senses. Cal made a low growling sound and spread its wing blades defensively. Then Minho heard it too. A rumbling crash, like rocks falling. The sound came from a collapsed tunnel entrance about 50 meters away. Minho approached carefully with Cal at his side. The tunnel had been part of an old cave system, but something had caused it to collapse. Through gaps in the rubble, he could see movement. Something was trapped inside. He pulled out his scanner and aimed it at the gaps. The reading made his breath catch. It was a void crawler. Cal hissed and pulled at Minho's jacket with its teeth, trying to drag him away. Even after everything they had been through, the Razorwing's instincts screamed danger. "I know," Minho said. "But look at the scanner readings. The void crawler was badly injured. Its biosigns were weak and getting weaker. Its ability to phase through matter required energy, and this one had none left. It was trapped just like Cal had been trapped in those vines." Minho knew what he had to do, even though every logical part of his brain told him this was beyond stupid. This was suicidal. "Stay here," he told Cal. "Keep watch." Cal clicked frantically, but Minho was already moving to the collapsed tunnel. He began removing rocks one at a time, creating a small opening. Inside he could see the massive form of the void crawler, its body bleeding from multiple wounds. The creature noticed him. Its eyes, deep and dark like pools of ink, focused on Minho. It tried to phase through the rocks but failed, too weak to use its abilities. A sound came from its throat, something between a growl and a whimper. "I am going to help you," Minho said, knowing the creature could not understand but hoping his tone would be enough. "Try not to eat me, okay?" It took him 3 hours to clear enough rubble to reach the void crawler. By that time, other predators had noticed the commotion. Cal spent the entire time driving them away, using its speed and wing blades to keep the area clear. When Minho finally crawled through the opening, the void crawler watched him with what he could only describe as confusion. Its kind were solitary ambush predators. It had never seen a creature willingly approach to help. Minho pulled out his medical scanner and examined the wounds. 3 deep gashes along its side, probably from a territorial fight with another large predator. The bleeding had slowed, but infection was setting in. "This is going to hurt," Minho warned. He pulled out his emergency medical kit and began cleaning the wounds. The void crawler growled but did not attack. It seemed to understand that he was trying to help. Minho worked through the night, treating the wounds and setting up a small defensive perimeter with his equipment. Cal stayed at the tunnel entrance, keeping watch. By morning, the void crawler's breathing had improved. Over the next 3 days, Minho returned regularly to check on the injured creature, bringing food and water. On the 3rd day when he arrived, the void crawler was standing. Its wounds were healing, and its ability to phase was slowly returning. The creature could have left. It could have disappeared into the jungle. Instead, it followed Minho back to his cave. "You too?" Minho said with a tired laugh. "Fine, but same rules as Cal. No eating your roommates." He named the void crawler Bomb, which meant spring or life in Korean. It seemed appropriate for a creature he had helped survive. Bomb was different from Cal. Where the Razorwing was energetic and curious, the void crawler was calm and thoughtful. It would phase small objects through walls to test its returning abilities, always careful not to damage Minho's equipment. It learned by watching, just like Cal had. Minho's cave now housed a human, a Razorwing striker, and a void crawler. 3 species that should never coexist, living together peacefully. He documented everything, knowing that no one would believe his reports without evidence. On the 11th day, disaster struck in an unexpected way. Minho was collecting water from a nearby stream when he heard a sound that made his blood run cold. It was the sonic scream of a thornback, but it was wrong. The frequency was too high, too desperate. It was not a hunting call or a territorial warning. It was a cry for help. Cal and Bomb both reacted immediately. Cal flew to Minho's shoulder, clicking urgently. Bomb phased next to him, positioning itself protectively. "I know this is a bad idea," Minho said to both of them, "but we have to check." They followed the sound to a clearing where a massive thornback nest lay destroyed. Something huge had attacked it, probably a rival thornback or a pack of predators. The adult defenders were gone, likely killed or driven off. In the center of the destruction, one small shape remained. A baby thornback, no bigger than a large dog, was crying out in distress. Its sonic abilities were not fully developed yet, but the sound was still loud enough to attract every predator in the area. Cal and Bomb both tensed. Neither wanted to approach the infant, but neither tried to stop Minho when he walked toward it. The baby thornback saw him coming and instinctively let out a small sonic blast. It was not strong enough to hurt, but it showed fear. This tiny creature had just watched its family destroyed, and now a strange predator was approaching. Minho sat down on the ground a few meters away. He pulled out a protein bar and broke off a piece, just as he had done with Cal. He tossed it toward the baby. The thornback sniffed it, then ate it desperately. It was starving. "Come on, little one," Minho said softly. "You cannot stay here. The predators will find you." As if to prove his point, a roar echoed from the trees. Something big was approaching. Drawn by the sound of the infant's cries, Cal launched into the air, creating a distraction. Bomb phased between the trees, making noise to confuse the approaching predator. Minho scooped up the baby thornback, which was surprisingly light for its size. The infant struggled at first, then seemed to realize that these strange creatures were protecting it. It stopped crying and buried its face against Minho's chest. They ran back to the cave with the predator chasing them. Just before they reached safety, Bomb phased behind them and used its massive body to block the entrance. The predator crashed into Bomb and retreated, confused by the sudden appearance of a void crawler. Inside the cave, Minho set down the baby thornback carefully. It looked up at him with large, frightened eyes. Cal approached slowly and made soft clicking sounds. Bomb settled near the entrance, keeping watch. "Welcome to the family," Minho said. Exhausted and exhilarated, he named the infant Dari, meaning bridge or connection. It felt right for the creature that had brought all three of them together in protection. That night, Minho received an urgent message from the station. The extraction team would arrive in 48 hours. He was ordered to prepare for immediate evacuation. He looked at his three companions. Cal was teaching Dari how to eat the protein bars properly. Bomb was watching them both with what Minho could only describe as amusement. They were a pack now. A family. And Minho had no intention of leaving them behind. "Time to introduce you three to the rest of the galaxy," he said quietly. "They are not going to believe this. They warned about the dangerous native fauna. Human came back with 3 as pets part 4. The extraction shuttle descended through the purple sky of Vex 7, its engines roaring as it approached the designated landing zone. Inside, Choi Hana gripped the controls with practiced ease. She had flown rescue missions on a dozen dangerous worlds, but something about this one made her nervous. Approaching landing zone, she spoke into the communication system. "Park Minho, please confirm you are ready for extraction." "Confirmed." Minho's voice came through calm and steady. "I will be there in 10 minutes. Lieutenant Voss, a tall reptilian scarith with deep green scales, checked his weapon systems. He did not trust this mission. Humans were reckless, and Park Minho had a reputation for being reckless even by human standards. "Scanners are picking up multiple life forms approaching the landing zone," Voss said, his forked tongue flicking nervously. "Large ones. Should I prepare defensive measures?" "Not yet," Hana replied. "Those might just be local wildlife. Wait for visual confirmation." The shuttle landed smoothly on a flat area cleared of jungle growth. Through the viewport they could see the crimson forest surrounding them, filled with shadows and movement. Vex 7 was beautiful, but every instinct told them it was dangerous. They waited. 1 minute. 2. 5. Then they saw him. Minho emerged from the tree line, carrying his equipment pack and walking with the confident stride of someone who had survived 2 weeks in hell. But he was not alone. Hana's blood went cold. Contact! Contact! Multiple hostile entities! Behind Minho, 3 massive creatures followed. A razor-wing striker flew low beside him, its blade wings catching the light. A void crawler moved through the shadows, its form flickering at the edges. And something small but recognizable as a baby thornback walked directly at his side. "Do not open the doors," Voss shouted, his claws reaching for the weapon controls. "Those are Class A predators." "I can see that," Hana shot back. She activated the external speakers. "Minho, what are you doing? Get away from those creatures." Minho's voice came through clearly. "Open the cargo bay doors, Hana. They are with me." "Have you lost your mind?" Voss demanded. "Those things will kill everyone on board." "No, they will not," Minho said patiently. "I have spent 2 weeks with them. They are intelligent. They can be trusted. Open the doors." Hana looked at Voss, then back at Minho, standing calmly with 3 apex predators surrounding him. "I cannot. Protocol states—" "Protocol does not account for this situation," Minho interrupted. "Hana, I am asking you to trust me. Have I ever lied to you?" She hesitated. She had known Minho for 3 years. He was crazy, yes, but he was not stupid. If he said these creatures were safe, he believed it. But believing and acting were 2 different things. "If you open those doors," Voss said quietly, "and those creatures attack, I will have no choice but to fire. I will kill them and possibly Minho as well." "I know," Hana said. She made her decision. "Minho, if this goes wrong, it will not," he promised. She pressed the button to open the cargo bay doors. The ramp lowered slowly and the interior lights spilled out onto the landing zone. Voss aimed his weapon system at the opening, ready to fire at the first sign of aggression. Minho walked forward. Cal, Bomb, and Dari stayed close to him, moving as a unit. When they reached the ramp, all 3 creatures stopped. "Watch," Minho said softly. Cal folded its wing blades against its body, making itself look smaller and less threatening. It was a deliberate gesture, one that Minho had taught it over the past few days. Bomb phased its right forearm through the ramp and then back, demonstrating control. It was showing that it could use its abilities but chose not to hurt them. Dari, the baby thornback, made a sound. But instead of the sonic scream that could turn organs to liquid, it produced a gentle harmonic tone, almost like singing. Hana stared. Voss's finger hovered over the trigger, but he did not fire. "They are showing you they mean no harm," Minho explained. "They are choosing to be peaceful. That is intelligence. That is communication." "Impossible," Voss whispered. "These creatures do not communicate with prey species." "We are not prey," Minho said. "We are equals. Now, can we please board? We have a long trip back to the station." Hana made her second impossible decision of the day. "Come aboard, slowly. All of you." Minho walked up the ramp with his 3 companions following. They entered the cargo bay, and the creatures immediately moved to the corners, giving the humans space. Cal settled near a supply crate. Bomb phased partially into a wall, watching everything. Dari curled up near Minho's feet. "Cargo bay secure," Hana said, her voice shaking slightly. "Lifting off." The shuttle rose into the sky, leaving Vex 7 behind. The journey back to the station would take 6 hours. 6 hours trapped in a small ship with 3 creatures that could kill them all in seconds. Voss never took his eyes off them. His weapon stayed ready. "If they make one wrong move, they will not," Minho said confidently. He pulled out his datapad and began documenting everything that had happened over the past 2 weeks. "I have hours of recordings, behavioral data, communication patterns. These creatures are not mindless killers. They are social, intelligent beings." Then why does every galactic species classify them as extreme threats? Voss challenged. Because no one ever tried to understand them, Minho replied. Everyone just assumed they were too dangerous. Fear stopped us from learning the truth. Hana left the cockpit on autopilot and came back to the cargo bay. She stood at a safe distance, studying the three creatures. How did you do it? How did you gain their trust? Minho smiled. The same way you gain anyone's trust. I helped them when they needed help. I showed them respect. I did not try to dominate them or break them. I just treated them as equals. Cal clicked softly and tilted its head at Hana. She flinched but held her ground. It is okay, Minho said to Cal in that soft voice he always used. She is a friend. The razor wing seemed to understand. It made a softer clicking sound, almost friendly. As they traveled through space, something remarkable happened. The crew began to relax. Cal demonstrated its problem-solving abilities by opening a locked container to retrieve Minho's dropped tool. Bomb entertained itself by phasing small objects through walls and catching them. Dari practiced its harmonic sounds, producing notes that were actually pleasant to hear. This is going to cause chaos on the station, Hana said quietly to Minho. You know that, right? You have just shattered every assumption about Vex 7's fauna. Good, Minho replied. Maybe it is time we stopped assuming and started learning. Voss finally lowered his weapon. The Galactic Council will never approve of this. They will want those creatures contained or destroyed. Then the Galactic Council will have to go through me, Minho said, his voice hard with determination. These three saved my life multiple times on that planet. They protected each other. They chose to come with me. I am not going to let anyone hurt them. As the station came into view on the horizon, Minho stood and addressed his three companions. Things are going to get difficult now, but I need you to trust me just like I trust you. Can you do that? Cal clicked 3 times. Bomb phased close enough to gently touch Minho's shoulder with one massive claw. Dari made a soft sound and pressed against his leg. That is what I thought, Minho said with a smile. The shuttle docked at the station. As soon as the news spread that Minho had returned with 3 Class A predators, alarms began to sound throughout the facility. The extraction was complete. But the real challenge was just beginning. They warned about the dangerous native fauna. Human came back with 3 as pets Part 5, the Council's judgment. The Galactic Council chamber was designed to hold thousands, but today it felt suffocating. Representatives from 40 different species filled the circular room, all talking at once. At the center, standing alone before the Council's judgment seats, was Park Minho. Ambassador Thelvac stood at the prosecutor's position, his forearms clasped behind his back. His expression was grave. Park Minho, you violated direct orders from the Galactic Council. You approached Class A predators against explicit protocol. You have endangered this entire station by bringing those creatures aboard. How do you answer these charges? Minho stood straight, his field jacket still stained from 2 weeks on Vex 7. I answer that your protocols were based on fear, not understanding. Yes, I approached the creatures. Yes, I helped them. And yes, I brought them here. I would do it again. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Council head Praxis, an ancient Mothran whose wings shimmered with age, raised one delicate limb for silence. The human speaks with confidence about creatures that have killed dozens of trained explorers, Praxis said, her voice soft but carrying to every corner. What makes you believe you know better than centuries of galactic experience? Because I took the time to understand them, Minho replied. Every species that went to Vex 7 went as conquerors or collectors. They brought weapons. They brought capture equipment. They treated the native fauna as resources or threats. I went as an observer. I helped instead of hunting. And I learned that these creatures are not mindless killers. They are intelligent beings. Ridiculous, another council member shouted. We have documented proof of their violence. You have documented proof of their self-defense, Minho corrected. Show me one instance where these creatures attacked without provocation. Show me one case where they hunted anything other than natural prey. You cannot, because it does not exist. Kim Jiwoo, the human representative on the council, stood. She was torn between defending her own species and maintaining galactic law. Minho, even if what you say is true, you took an incredible risk. Those creatures could have killed you at any moment. But they did not, Minho said. Cal, Bomb, and Dari had dozens of opportunities to hurt me. They chose not to. That is not luck. That is choice. That is intelligence. Where are these creatures now? Praxis asked. In containment, Thelvax answered, under maximum security. They have been separated and sedated. Something in Minho's expression changed. His calm demeanor cracked slightly. You separated them? They are scared when apart. They are a family unit. You had no right. We had every right, Thelvax interrupted. They are dangerous specimens, not pets. They are people. Minho shouted, his voice echoing through the chamber. They think, they feel. They communicate. They protect each other. That makes them people, regardless of what they look like. Dr. Ren Torval, a Geltarian scientist with translucent skin, stood from the observer section. May I speak? Praxis nodded permission. I have reviewed Minho's data, Torval said, his three eyes focusing on the council. His recordings show clear evidence of problem-solving behavior, tool use, and most importantly, cross-species cooperation. The Razorwing and Voidcrawler actively protected Minho from other predators. That is not animal behavior. That is sapient alliance. One scientist's opinion against centuries of protocol, Thelvax countered. We cannot rewrite our understanding of an entire planet based on 2 weeks of observation. An alarm suddenly blared through the station. Red lights flashed. A voice came over the communication system. Containment breach in Section 7. All personnel evacuate. But it was not the breach that Thelvax had expected. Instead of predators escaping to hunt, security footage showed something different. Cal, Bomb, and Dari had broken through their individual cells and were moving through the station together. They were not attacking anyone. They were searching. They are looking for me, Minho said quietly. They are confused and scared. Let me go to them before someone gets hurt. Absolutely not, Thelvax began, but Praxis raised her limb. Bring them here, the council head decided. To this chamber. Let us see these creatures with our own eyes. Security tried to stop the three creatures, but they were unstoppable when working together. Cal flew through ventilation shafts. Bomb phased through walls. Dari used its sonic abilities to open locked doors without damaging them. Within minutes, they reached the council chamber. The massive doors burst open and the three creatures entered. Panic filled the room. Representatives scrambled for safety. Security raised their weapons, but the three creatures ignored everyone. They moved straight toward Minho, surrounding him protectively. Cal clicked frantically, checking him for injuries. Bomb pressed against his side, its massive form trembling. Dari made soft, worried sounds. Stand down, Minho said to the security forces. Then to his companions, he spoke in that gentle voice they had learned to trust. I am okay, I am safe. You can relax. The creatures did not calm completely, but they stopped looking threatening. They positioned themselves around Minho, watching the council with wary eyes. Praxis studied the scene carefully. They tracked you through an entire station, through security systems and locked doors, working together. That level of coordination requires advanced cognition. More than that, Torval added, approaching slowly. Look at their behavior. They are not aggressive. They are protective. They see Minho as part of their pack, and they are displaying restraint despite being in a threatening environment. Make them prove it, Thelvax challenged. If they are truly intelligent, let them demonstrate control. Minho looked at each of his companions. Cal, show them you understand. The Razorwing stepped forward. It approached a damaged section of the chamber, where an energy conduit was exposed and sparking. Using its wing blades with surgical precision, it cut away the damaged section and used its body to shield the electrical hazard. Bum, Minho said. Your turn. The Voidcrawler phased through a security barrier and retrieved Minho's confiscated datapad, which contained all his research. It brought the device back and placed it carefully at the council head's feet before returning to Minho's side. Dari, Minho said softly to the baby Thornback, show them your voice. Dari looked up at a cracked viewport that was slowly leaking atmosphere. The crack was small but dangerous. The infant Thornback produced a sonic frequency so precisely tuned that it vibrated the crystalline structure of the viewport, causing it to seal itself through harmonic resonance. The chamber fell silent. No one could deny what they had just witnessed. Torval spoke into the quiet. They are not pets. They are people. Praxis descended from her judgment seat. The ancient Mothran approached Minho and his three companions slowly. Cal tensed, but Minho placed a calming hand on its head. "You have proven your point, Park Minho," Praxis said. "These creatures are indeed sapient. But that creates a new problem. What do we do now?" "You recognize them," Minho said firmly. "You give them the same rights as any other intelligent species. You stop calling them creatures and start calling them people." "And what about the others on Vex 7? Jiwoo asked. "Do we reclassify the entire planet?" "Yes," Minho replied. "We approach them with respect instead of weapons. We learn from them instead of fearing them. We give them a choice about contact instead of forcing it." Thelvac stepped forward. "You have broken countless protocols. You have endangered lives. I cannot simply ignore that." "You are right," Praxis agreed. "Park Minho, you are hereby placed on probationary status. Any future contact missions must be supervised. However," she turned to address the full council, "your methods have revealed a truth we were too blind to see. These three beings from Vex 7 are recognized as sapient individuals under Minho's guardianship until they choose otherwise." The chamber erupted again, but this time, the voices were mixed. Some protested, but others showed support. "Furthermore," Praxis continued, "humans will be authorized to establish first contact protocols with species previously deemed too dangerous to approach, under strict supervision." Jiwoo smiled for the first time since the hearing began. "I propose the establishment of a new research division, interspecies integration, with Park Minho as lead consultant." The vote was close, but it passed. That night, Minho sat in his newly assigned quarters on the station. They were larger now, designed to accommodate him and his three companions. Cal perched on a specially built platform by the window, watching the stars. Bomb had partially phased into the wall, comfortable in its own unique way. Dari was curled up on a heated pad, already asleep. The door chimed. Hana entered, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "I thought you might need this," she said, handing him one. "You just changed galactic policy. How does that feel?" "Exhausting," Minho admitted with a tired smile. "But worth it. I want to learn," Hana said suddenly. "Your methods. How you approach dangerous species. Will you teach me?" Minho looked at her in surprise, then nodded. "I would be honored." Over the next few weeks, more scientists and explorers asked for the same training. The galaxy was beginning to understand that dangerous did not always mean hostile. Sometimes it just meant misunderstood. Minho stood at his window one evening, looking out at the distant glow of Vex 7. Cal came to stand beside him, clicking softly.